Hey guys, and then now welcome to the vocabulary lesson. So this is the uh, uh, um the 172 vocabulary lesson, okay, folks? And then now we are going to be talking about artifact and gore. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about, folks. Okay, that's it. All right, so number one. I'm going to explain to you about artifact. Artifact, an object made by a human being, typically an item of cultural or historical interest. Gold and silver artifacts. Number two, something observed in a scientific investigation or experiment that is not naturally present but occurs as a result of the preparative or investigative procedure. Widespread tissue infection may be a technical artifact. Gold and silver artifacts are in the museum. An artifact is a man-made object that has some kind of cultural significance. If you find a 12th century vase, it's an artifact of that time. Don't drop it. And then there's that movie called The Rundown. Rundown 2003. So that guy says he caught up with a poor Mariana in the jungle and relieved her of her artifact. Travis says, "What'd you say?" Guy says, "I said he relieved her of her artifact. It's a word in the English language. Artifact. Artifact. Look it up." That's what he said in the movie. Verb used with object. Number one, digital technology to introduce a visible or audible anomaly in an image or audio file during the processing or transmission of digital data. The video appears to be heavily artifacted. Compression may artifact your recording with clicking or echoing sounds. The video appears to be heavily artifacted. Number one, any object made by human beings, especially with a view to subsequent use. Number two, a handmade object as a tool or the remains of one, as a shard of pottery, characteristic of an earlier time or cultural stage, especially such an object found at an archaeological excavation. Number three, any mass produced, usually inexpensive object reflecting contemporary society or popular culture. Artifacts of the pop rock generation. Number four, a substance or structure not naturally present in the matter being observed but formed by artificial means as during preparation of a microscope slide. Number five, a spurious observation or result arising from preparatory or investigative procedures. Number six, any feature that is not naturally present but is a product of an extrinsic agent, method, or the like. Statistical artifacts that make the inflation rate seem greater than it is. Number seven, digital technology, a visible or audible anomaly introduced in the processing or transmission of digital data. Ghosting artifacts in an MRI are usually the result of patient movement during the scan. Your computer might need a new graphics card if you see green pixels where you should not, or other graphics artifact. Ghosting artifacts in an MRI are usually the result of patient movement during a scan. An object such as a tool that was made in the past, the museum has artifacts dating back to prehistoric times. Artifact, okay? An object that has been made by a person, such as a tool or a decoration, especially one that is of historical interest. The museum's collection includes artifacts dating back to prehistoric times. The house displays a number of paintings of the poet as well as his typewriter and other personal artifacts. Okay? Artifact means it's made by a person when it's created by a human being as people. Okay? So that's it about the artifact. But now we're going to be talking about gore. Okay? So now, gore is blood that has been shed, especially as a result of violence. The film omitted the blood and gore in order to avoid controversy. Similar: blood, bloodiness, blood, bloodshed, slaughter, carnage, butchery, cruer, groom. Synonyms of gore. Number 1, a small, usually triangular piece of land. Number 2, sorry folks. Sorry folks. Alright, number 1, a small, usually triangular piece of land. Number 2, a tapering or a triangular piece, as of cloth in a skirt. An elastic gusset for providing a snug fit in a shoe. Gore, to cut into a tapering triangular form to provide with the gore. Gore, to pierce or wound with something pointed, such as a horn or knife. Gored by a bull. Gore. Gore means to slice. Gore means to slice someone. To slice someone up to slice someone up and with a knife and you see blood everywhere. A psychopath loves gore. Okay? That's it. Gore. Number 1, blood, especially clotted blood. Number 2, a gruesomeness depicted in vivid detail. Gore, like blood, especially from violence or injury. Blood and Gore, it's a good film, but there's a lot of blood and gore in it. For example, horror movies have gotten more sophisticated, turned up the suspense, and toned down the gore. Video games are achieving even higher shock value by pairing the latest in computer-generated gore with historical tragedies. In his chilling documentary, the filmmaker avoids gore or sensationalism. A piece of material shaped like a triangle or with one end narrower than the other used in making skirts, sails, or umbrellas. It has extra gores of fabric in the skirt to make it all swirly and full. Gore of an animal to cause an injury to someone or damage something with the horns or tusk. Gored by a bull. Gore of an animal to cause an injury with the horns or tusk. Long curved teeth, the bullfighter was almost gored to death. Gore, blood, especially from violence or injury. Blood and gore, it's a good film, but there's a lot of blood and gore in it. Gore, blood that has come from an injury and become thick. We stay away from the gore and the blood. The last death happened when a man was gored by a bull 5 years ago. Sometimes bravery conquers the pain of a goring. Gore. Number 1, thick blood from a wound. Number 2, violent images or scenes that show a lot of blood. The movie contains excessive violence, gore, and profanity. Blood and gore. Gore of an animal to wound a person or another animal with their horn or tusk. The bull gored him. He was gored by a bull. Okay? So that's it. So I'm going to tell you about what the artifact is, okay? So now, artifact means it's made by a person when it's created by a human being. Artifact means it's made by a person when it's created by a human being. Artifact means it's made by a person when it's created by a human being. Okay? And then the, okay, so now gore. Gore is blood that has been shed, especially as a result of violence. All right, folks, that's it. The lesson is over. Hope you guys enjoy the lesson.